So thank you so much for becoming a launch director member. Launch directors and flight engineers get their names at the end of every episode of NASA Spaceflight Live. Plus, you get all the other sweet perks like Capcom, it's like the Discord access that you get at Capcom level and above, and all the members emoji and all the preview videos and photos and behind the scenes stuff. I'm gonna throw some dragons into chat, and as just an example, members emoji, they're fun. We'll be adding more of
the time to depress.
I just imagine you like waking up in a cold sweat, like ah.
But then I was happy when I see Starship standing, because back in the day when it was like this early cryo campaign, there was times when I woke up and yeah, Starship was gone. That was back in the days when the cryo tests tend to fail.
Yeah, that was a simpler time.
Yeah. I remember a friend of mine, Nikara, just texting me in the morning like, hey, Starship just blew up. And I was like, nah, open the stream. Nah.
Alright, well, it sounds like Nick has had to jump off, but thank you to Nick for being on all morning and afternoon so far as we wait for Ship 24 to us.
Yeah, I'm basically just lying on stream. Yeah, it's been
of its engines. I think the jury is still out whether that was all 33 or a subset or most of them or some of them or one ring or what, but yeah, Booster 7 conducting a many engine spin prime test earlier today. Then Booster 7 spooled down, and as that happened, we watched Ship 24 start to spool up. And now you're looking at Ship 24. It's got a healthy amount of frost on the liquid oxygen tank as they have loaded a healthy amount of liquid oxygen into the liquid oxygen tank. And yeah, engine chill vents came on, recondenser active. So we are sitting here waiting for the next indicator, which would be a siren, if they are indeed going to go straight for a static fire test and not maybe do, say, like a pre-burner or spin prime first. But that is sort of where we're at. The next two indicators, if they are indeed going for a static fire, are, like I said, the siren at T.
Co ja mam teraz zrobić? Czym mogę służyć?
Do zobaczenia.
Co za plągawiec.
O, jesteś już. Chodź, siędziemy gdzieś. Zaraz się zaczyna.
gwiazdom na przekór. Otwórz te rany, a potem zalecz, aż w zawiły losu ułożą się wzór. Z moich snów uciekasz nad ranem, cierpka jak agres, słodka jak bez. Chcę śnić czarne loki splątane, fiołkowe oczy mokre od łez. Za wilczym śladem podążę w zamieć i twoje serce wytropię uparte. Przez gniew i smutek stwardniałe w kamień rozpalę usta smagane wiatrem. Z moich snów uciekasz nad ranem, cierpka jak agres, słodka jak bez. Chcę śnić czarne loki splątane, fiołkowe oczy mokre od łez. Nie wiem, czy jesteś moim przeznaczeniem, czy przez ślepy traf miłość nas związała. Kiedy wyrzekłem moje życzenie, czyś mnie wbrew sobie wtedy pokochała? Z moich snów uciekasz nad ranem, cierpka jak agres, słodka jak bez. Chcę śnić czarne loki splątane, fiołkowe oczy mokre od łez.
Ja go znam! To on mordował temerskich chłopców w Białym Sadzie!
Cichaj, kobieto. Przyszliśmy tu na koncert.
To morderca?
Jest wojna, a na wojnie ludzie giną.
Idźcie kusić się gdzie indziej!
Noż co za chamstwo, znowu burdy i awantury. A mówiono mi, że to porządny lokal.
Jak znam Geralta, dupę komuś ratował, nastawiając karku.
Kogo ratował? Ludzi mordując!
Nie daj się sprowokować.
Idźcie awanturować się za drzwiami!
Chodźcie! Cisza! Ja chcę posłuchać muzyki!
Stolica kultury. Kurwa mać.
Pozwólcie, że was sobie przedstawię. Oto Pryszcilla, alias Cyraneczka. Równie piękna, co utalentowana. A to...
Geralt z Rivi, wiem. Jaskier dużo mi o tobie opowiadał, a ja chętnie słuchałam. Nie dziw się, to przecież taki wdzięczny temat do pieśni. Wiedźmin zakochany w czarodziejce. Czy powinnam raczej powiedzieć czarodziejka?
with uh-huh.
Thing to say about
Yeah,
Ship
no, go
24,
ahead.
but
Yeah, I
no,
was
I
gonna
have
say.
not. I have not. Yeah.
It's for. It's quite kind of ironic because people assess if you look, it is a big leap forward if this can all work out well for SpaceX.
Indeed. I will forever be sad about Venture Star. It seemed like such a cool design, and they had a problem with, what was it, the composite liquid oxygen tank. Oh, hold on. Breaking news.
Well, hey.
Nick is reporting that he has heard a siren. Mary is reporting that she's heard a siren. So we are in the 10-minute count. Sometime around 4:29, 4:30 local, we should be getting a static fire attempt with Starship. That is what we want to see in here. That is excellent.
Which overall
Chat.
fits with what we just talked about 40 minutes ago, right? So we are kind of fitting and talking about 4:30. So
Yep.
yeah, seems like that
Joy.
hold.
BPS Space Joe in chat is saying Venture Star was so great about and there's a big metal one and it's called Starship.
Sorry, that's not a fruit.
I'm resisting the urge to go off the rails here.
Widzę, że
Let's
Jaskier
see.
nie
Dean
pominął
Harbold,
swoich
thank you for the support. This
opowieściach
is why you
żadnych
wrapped your tongue. I don't know if we ever
W
got a
takim
firm
razie
answer
powiedział
on that.
ci
It
też,
seems to be
gdzie
part
go
of the
szukać.
stop process, the shutdown process.
Bardzo zabawne, doprawdy. To do
David
widzenia.
Bell, thank you for the support.
Nie tutaj, chodźcie
Lock
za mną.
S24 into attack position. That's got to be a reference that I'm not getting.
Rozumiem, że jest jakiś powód dla tej konspiracji.
Całkiem dobry. Kiedy ostatnio widziałam
Stephen
Jaskra,
Ferris, thank you for the
mówił, że
support.
planuje
And Jim
skok na
Cabot,
skarb
thank you for
Ziggy'ego
gifting a Red Team
Ravena.
membership.
Motyla noga.
It's S-foils check.
I więcej go już nie widziałam.
You lock
what?
the S-foils into attack position on the
What is that?
fighters.
Roiven?
Okay,
Co to
thank you.
za...
That explains why I
Wysoki, gruby,
Okay,
cholernie groźny.
I utyka na
no,
lewą
come back,
nogę.
wait.
Brzmi jak kulawy
Okay, I'm back.
troll.
Gdyby te trolle
Yay.
były też diablo
I've got it.
inteligentne i miały żyłkę do kryminału,
No!
to tak,
Gas went out
zgadzało.
for a pack of robot bolts and never came back.
Oh my god.
Jaskier i skok na skarb. Już prędzej bym się
So
spodziewał,
yeah,
że
we are
wybierze życie w
around
celibacie.
4 or 5 minutes away
jak raz
from a
zapomniał
Starship static
zapłacić za
fire. We
wino
don't
w
know how many
Pacyfiorze,
engines
to
to
potem
expect.
3 dni nie spał z
The
nerwów.
previous spin prime on
To co
ship
mu odbiło? Miał
was
jakieś
that was a
długi do
3-engine
spłacenia?
spin prime, or am I
Mówił,
mistaken
że musi
in
komuś
forgetting
pomóc.
something?
Sprawa niecierpiąca zwłoki. Tak to chyba ujął.
Sorry, can you repeat that question? I was looking at event.
The previous time we
Nie,
saw a spin prime
ale
on
znając
ship,
Jaskra,
that was a
chodziło o
3-engine
tę
spin prime, if I'm not
kogoś,
mistaken.
pewnie szczupłą i z obfitym biustem.
Now
Agree or disagree?
I'm guessing ish. I'm
Zakładam,
not
że
sure.
skok się nie
Was
uda.
it 3 or 2?
No, nie wrócił tu w złotej karocy obwieszony klejnotami, więc chyba nie.
I would at this. I don't think there is a correlation between spin primes and static
Słyszałam
fires.
tylko, że zrobił jakąś
all
awanturę
time.
w
I
sieci
think
No, I'm just trying to sort of give a recap where the previous spin prime test we saw. Okay, I'm hearing in the back channel it was 6 engines.
Największy chuj w
Thank you for that.
Nowigradzie. Znaczy się,
So
nie
yeah, I
dosłownie,
mean,
tylko...
we saw a
tak
6-engine
zakładałem.
spin prime
Znalazł ci
previously.
jakoś
We
za skórę.
could be seeing a
Znalazł
6-engine
całemu
static
miastu.
fire on
Należy do
this
czwórki ludzi,
test,
którzy
but like Adrian
trzęsą
said,
miejscowym półświatkiem.
there is,
Razem z Ziggim Ravenem właśnie,
there is that's not
Tasakiem
necessarily
i
a
królem
correlation
żebraków.
between the two. I mean, on Booster 7,
Niezły
we
numer.
just saw
Dobrze,
a
chociaż, że
many engine
Jaskier
spin
nie
prime
zadarł
test.
z kościołem
Previous
wiecznego ognia.
test before that was looked like a 3-engine static fire. So
Also, chat has done
I znów
11,500
muszę
votes
ratować
and
Jaskra.
70% for all 6
Poproszę,
engines.
żeby wykupił jakiś abonament.
Wiesz,
Alright.
jemu teraz nie jest do śmiechu.
pull,
I
good
mi w
pull.
sumie też.
Spokojnie, wyciągnę go z tego.
oh yeah,
I'm
and it
staring at
definitely
Pogadam z tym skurwielem
it stands to be
Ziggim
to be
Roivenem.
mentioned that one of
Gdzie ich
the
znajdę?
engines, like we were talking about earlier, one of the
Skurwiela to
Raptor
nie.
vacs was swapped out
Roiven ma
for a
własne
different
łaźnie.
Raptor vac. So
Tylko uważaj, to niebezpieczny
not
typ.
all of these engines have been spin
Ja
prime,
też.
but doesn't necessarily mean that they
Nie
can't
wątpię,
static fire them.
ale Jaskier to już nie ta liga. Dlatego proszę,
So
pośpiesz
next
się
up
i
should
daj mi
be
znać, jak
this
tylko się czegoś
upstream
dowiesz.
vent we have seen before, where there's like a
Raczej na nic
really
się tu nie znam. Wracam do
it's an
szału.
upstream going up the vehicle.
Na karmię później będę
That should
czekał.
be around
A
10
nuż,
minutes ish
Jaskier
before
sam
T0,
wróci.
a bit less
Bywajcie.
maybe.
So
90
very
seconds.
soon.
Yeah, if it's still
hearing some kind of venting, but unclear where that's coming from. Keeping an eye open for that upward. I mean, right now, all of the venting coming off of the vehicle is sort of has a downward trajectory because it's cold. Whereas the upward vent that we're hoping to see momentarily here, you know, travels upwards, not downwards. So that is a much different behavior than we're currently seeing, and we're looking for that as an indicator that we're moments away.
Yeah, the venting also boosters. We're okay.
Okay, yeah. People are saying the booster is where that sound is coming from. Also keep your eyes on the base of the suborbital launch pad for the water deluge. Is that what you were about to say, Adrian? Sorry.
Yes. No, all good. All good. At least we are thinking it the same here. But yeah, because there's always the chance that these vents change and these indicators change. It's not everything is fixed.
Indeed. All right, well, could be anywhere in the next minute or so.
You can just see it like in this pulsing, holding, whatever. It's just the vents every few seconds they're emitting a bit of venting and then stopping. Yep. They're not even synchronized. You can see right now the left is out and the right was on.
Looking for that upward flow and looking for the water deluge at the base of the mount. 15 seconds to go till 4:30 on the dot. Let's see what happens.
There's always the chance that they have a few more holds in the countdown. We saw that before on for example, hop countdowns. We could observe that there is a very dynamic countdown with this. So kind of expect the unexpected. Deluge.
Here we go. There you have it. Looked like a great static fire from Starship 24. Kind of a long one. A lot of dust kicked up. A lot of dust kicked up. We'll have to review the footage here and see what we just got in terms of number of engines and whatnot, but that looked like a solid static fire from Ship 24. Beautiful.
I will try to go back here and see if we can somehow identify how many engines there were.
6 engine? 6 second. That was a long fire.
Like 6 seconds.
6 engines would make sense given the amount of dust kicked up. All right, well, I think I'm going to have some work to do with a little piece of software called Premiere. So I'm going to jump off, let you all speculate as to what we just witnessed. But hooray, static fire testing with Ship. DOS?
Yes.
Are you able to...
I'm here, Jack, I'm here.
All right, okay, bye. Good luck. I just want to say,
good grief.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
I know that movie.
We'll let this go ahead and happen right now.
Somebody wants attention.
And for those people who go, can replay it. Well, you can either scroll back a little bit, or you can view the tweets of the recording I just made, which I'm going to put in chat.
There you go.
Yeah, it looked like, to me, it looked like there was... The problem is we cannot really see if all 6 go on, I think, because there's already a big plume of, like, dirt on their way to the cameras before that happens. But it looked like the light increases again, and I would say, based on what we can see and how many engines emit light a cloud and how many light increases we see, I would say that looked like more than 3 or 4, but I'm not sure how many more.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
5
There's so much venting around the base whenever it goes. And as soon as it goes, there's so much dust that's kicked up. It's really hard to see the, any details on exactly what happens there. But I will say really quickly, our close-in camera, if y'all saw that, it started to shake like crazy. And then the camera itself actually went offline here. We still have telemetry from the controller, the router out there, and we also have the microphone that's there in close. But that close-in camera that was shaking like crazy actually dropped offline, and we're working to see if we can get that back right now. It may have shook a connector loose or something like that. Also, you can see on the screen right now a couple grass fires. That's not necessarily anything new. We've seen little flare-ups. They cut that down low there, so there's not really a lot of material to actually continue that fire. Those are most likely just grass fires just off the edge of the concrete. But one of them is actually pretty far to the left. Sometimes we'll see it between this camera and Starship, and this time we've got that one camera over there to the left, or that one fire that's over there to the left. Looks a little bit taller than usual, so has it caught a piece of grass that's a little bit taller, or what it is? I'm sure we'll see if we can see on another angle potentially exactly where that's coming from. Michael, I don't know if I'd say it out loud if Michael can hear me. I don't know if we have another camera that can see exactly where that black smoke is. There we go. Thank you. Hard to see from this angle exactly what side of the street that's on. I mean, it really does look like it's close in, but not exactly sure where that is. I'm going to see if I can't bring another camera around that way.
Yeah, and looks like there's some... It's kind of far away from the ship itself, right? So that's a kind of interesting spot where a fire would start.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really close to the ignition. Oh.
Yeah, that is pretty
really
far over there.
close.
Look at that. Wow.
Like, maybe parts? Like, maybe, like, some sort of burnable stuff close to the pad that just went flying?
Got thrown in that direction, potentially? Maybe so. I don't know.
Yeah, like some pad insulation or something that just got blown off, and then you have, like, a burning piece of hardware that is flying into
goes
grass,
downrange or something like that. Yeah, look at that.
Wow, that's not... Yeah, that's like several, like 100 meters, right?
It really is. I mean, it's multiple Starship links away if you lay that down. It does look like it's going with the wind there in that direction, so...
Oh. Yeah, let's hope there's not enough grass there to really fuel this fire anymore. And at some point it just goes up by itself.
We'll see what happens here. We'll keep an eye on it. In some cases, it has. We've seen grass fires like that before, but we will see exactly where that ends up. There's a lot of salt flats. There's that reflecting pool in the water in that area. It looks like that's outside the fence there, but we will see what goes on over in that area.
Yeah, these sometimes seem really like heavy and dramatic at first and then really go out fast as well. We have seen that before, right? Where at first it looked like a lot of fire and then suddenly it just had not that much mass anymore to fuel it.
It depends on the moisture in the grass, how wet it is. Remember, we're just coming off a couple days of rain, so there's more water than normally out there. And it has caught something there, it looks like on the other side of the SpaceX fence. But it doesn't look like if it gets up to the road, it's probably not going to cross the road there. The wind is sort of blowing it back towards Starbase, but that is on the south side of Highway 4. And there's a lot of salt flat, there's a lot of water, and there's some places where that gets really thin there. We'll see where it ends up, but that wind does look like it's going in a direction that is not ideal as it burns up sort of the side of Highway 4.
Yeah, it's and also the problem here is they cannot just go out there and extinguish this, right? Because this is still a vehicle that is probably fueled, that is not safe completely, an active tank farm. You cannot just go out with a firefighter there and just extinguish this.
Yeah, exactly. But again, this is on the south side of Highway 4 there.
Yeah. Does a lot of black smoke mean it goes out? Or is that good or bad?
Well, no, that means it's got something to burn right now. And we are sort of watching over in that direction. Again, a lot of concrete around the actual test area. This is over in the grass past the test area. Is there some black coming from back in there potentially? I don't know, Adrian. What do you think about that? It's
Can we
hard
go
to see.
to? I would just call out the camera here. Can we go to beach? Because I think you can see something there. It's not only the grass.
Oh, it is. It's inside the test site there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's 100% the test area. That's not grass.
It is. That's that black plume in the background that I was looking at there. That is not. That is definitely not just in the grass.
Yeah, that's multiple areas, and they're definitely not related. That's just a totally different area. So looks like maybe more parts went flying.
It must have been. It must have been something ended up catching fire. Did it get caught fire like near the actual rocket exhaust and then pushed somewhere else? It's hard to imagine that something over at that distance would have caught fire at that distance from the booster, but there is definitely thick black smoke happening in the middle of the test area there. That shouldn't be a lot of grass there. That is equipment, that's concrete. Those two pads, pad that's closer to us in this frame, pad that's further away, they're all surrounded by concrete, but exactly what the source of that black smoke is on the backside, that's not looking like it's just grass.
Yeah, it could be like, for example, that almost reminds me of like diesel fires or something like that, where maybe like there's a generator or something there.
Yeah, there you go. Here on this camera, you can see on the backside, is that a shipping container or a dumpster maybe? They had a couple dumpsters back in there, didn't they? Is this a literal dumpster fire?
Yeah, I think you can see even the bluish, greenish color of the dumpster, right?
Yeah. It looks like that lack of a flame director underneath Starship may have allowed hot debris. I mean, you know, you get a piece of metal hot enough, you throw it into something combustible and it can start a fire, right? So potentially something ricocheted out from under that ship and ended up in a stack of flammables. And if I'm not mistaken, those are two blue dumpsters over there. We've been talking, the dumpster. We've been talking about the dumpster. I don't think that one's the porta potty, Alex. But that may very well be what happened there. Just something hot enough. It didn't even have to be on fire. Remember, it's not like a flaming piece of something had to come out from under the ship. A piece of metal that's just hot enough put into like a pile of paper or a pile of grass or something can literally cause it to combust just through raw heat. And so it may very well be that something ended up, if that is a dumpster, we're sort of looking at that and thinking that that black plume inside the test area looks like it's coming from a dumpster. If that is in fact a dumpster, that could be a literal dumpster fire happening over there on the test pad. And you can see the grass fire as well, that browner smoke. Yeah, exactly.
It's a perfect wordplay right there.
I can see the YouTube videos coming now.
I was going to say, can the thumbnail say literal dumpster fire as the thumbnail text?
If we confirm that actually is coming from a dumpster, I mean, I'm game. Chat, y'all game? Would y'all click on something that said literal dumpster fire at Starbase? I don't know if
You
SpaceX
can-
would like that much.
I feel like you can see how the grass fire is right now being pushed by the wind and basically is eating through this line of grass there, but it's not really like completely going out of control big as of now right now. It's more like it's eating out there a bit more grass, but it's not really in like a huge and more expanding fire right now.
Yep, the big visible flames right there, sort of center left, that may be some brush that it got into. That is the trick. Like, even though it's rained the last couple days, you get a fire that's hot enough, and it can still light the green vegetation out there on the beach. So that may be just a spot. It's hard to see that. I'm trying to see if I can look at different angles before I say too terribly much about it. But that may be just an area where it got into some taller brush. Man,
yeah, I think there
tough,
are brushes there. It's hard. It's always hard to get a perspective here. Like, always try to remember what you're.
It does. I mean, Adrian, I'd have to go back and like A/B test it, but it looks like the fire has proceeded to the west up Highway 4, sort of towards the production site, towards I guess towards the rest of Starbase, right? But again, there's not an awful lot of vegetation on that side. In some areas, it gets really low, it gets really sandy there. This wouldn't be the first time that a fire has spread all the way up the side there. During a previous test, that side of the road caught fire and burned a significant distance back towards the production site.
Stop,
but
right?
Look at that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's maybe I shouldn't have said that because that's a bit more fire than now. You can also see like a secondary fire on the right.
Yep.
Didn't they have a firefighter drone?
They did, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's safe to approach this class of fire with that drone. This
Right.
fire would suck that drone right out of the sky.
Yeah, and you can
picking
see
up right there.
You can see how they are detanking S24 right now because you can see this shock frost ring they get when you have a rapid pressure loss. So they are trying to get this vehicle saved and basically empty, but of course we saw that takes an hour or so.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to see, let me see if I can't get this cam to enhance a little bit. This is a cam that's a little bit higher up on one of the towers. And let me see if I can't zoom in a little bit here. Michael can hear me. Michael, if I don't have good control of this camera, switch away, please. But I'm just going to try and do it live here. Let's see what we got. And we do have Starship in the background, but we got a lot of other cameras on that. Nope, that's all the zoom we've got right there. We don't have a lot more zoom than what we've already showed there, so.
Wow.
I'll keep Starship in frame here, and we'll just sort of, there you go. All right, like that. But that does look like he got into some, I do hope, I mean, I'm looking at all sorts of different sides here. We have like a wider angle from the beach. There's beach. Where's beach 2? Beach 2 still looking up there. Again, y'all, I'm naming cameras as I look at our big multi-view here that shows all the cameras on one screen. We use that when we're producing the live streams here.
I mean, the good in quotation here, the good news here is that around the tank side there should only be concrete.
Yeah, so, around the test site itself, it's all, there's not vegetation grown up. Like making sure that you don't have vegetation grown around your test facility. Like it's all concrete there, right? Or it's gravel, or it's sand. You got caliche out there. Even the distance between Highway 4 and the container wall there is all concreted out, right? That dumpster's still going, it looks like.
Yeah, so it cannot be like, I saw some people in the chat worried about the tank farm. It would be very unlikely that this fire approaches the tank farm right now.
Right.
It's more the grass. You can also see it on, I'm sorry to call out for camera names here again, but South, I think, shows it really well. You can see the fire is, it's quite far away from the vehicle and the tank farm. There, there's a significant distance, so yeah.
Again, y'all, we're watching the situation here. You can see that wind that is sort of carrying that grass fire away from the test site, up to the west on Highway 4 there. That is east-west. Sun comes up over there. Yeah, that's going to be sort of going west on Highway 4. And there are some spots there where that little sort of causeway gets really narrow. There's not a lot in that little neck. So what happens out here a lot of the times is they'll just let these sorts of fires burn themselves out because they're contained. They have salt marsh on one side, they have Highway 4 on the other side. A big concern that the fire department would be looking at is, would this fire be in danger of hopping over Highway 4? Highway 4 acts as a natural barrier there. It's very sandy. There's a very low vegetation area where they've cleared it off on either side of the bollard and cable there that denies access to the wildlife refuge. And a lot of times there's no reason to try and go fight a fire like this. If you look at it, you take it like an above view, maybe they have a drone up looking down from a distance, and they say, okay, that's bounded on the east side by the test site. It's all concrete there. It's bounded on the west side by the highway. It's bounded over here by the salt flats. And they are probably just going to keep an eye on this.
What I found strange right now in terms of Starship, because I'm also having a look at Starship 24, I'm not sure if we see the vent stack yet being active, which would be the big indication for them really completely saving this vehicle. But I feel like the vent stack is not yet active, so maybe...
Yeah.
It could also be that they're being careful right now.
Yeah. Because one of our big issues here is there is a significant sort of frontage on Highway 4 here. So if Highway 4 is acting as a fire break to keep that from jumping into the larger refuge area, there is an awful lot of frontage, places where the fire could jump across. And you know how that happens with wildfires, with grass fires, with forest fires. You get something, leaves grass that's on fire, and the wind picks it up and sort of blows it across the road, and it lands in something that can catch on fire on the other side. That looks like a drone up there looking down on the fire, if I'm not mistaken, in the upper right-hand corner, or the camera's dirty. But I'm pretty sure that's a drone.
I think it moves, so that should be a drone, right?
Yeah, is it hovering there and looking at maybe the boundary between the area that's on fire and the actual test area there?
You can also
they can
see
just activate the grass
mode.
vent. The grass vent will just put out the fire if it approaches the chain link fence there.
Well, our suspicion is that the grass vent is actually liquid nitrogen, right? So
that would be good at putting out fires.
Yes. And also we see the tank farm right now definitely in a saving mode. Like this is a tank farm getting ready to spool down and depress it.
Is that a normal vent there, Adrian? That big downward vent? I don't recall seeing that a lot, but you know the vents a lot better than I do.
I don't recall seeing it a lot so far as well. I have to admit that I have not paid attention to every single vent for the S24 campaign, but if that's... At least I don't remember it from, like, a lot of the previous campaigns. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But that sometimes happens. Sometimes they modify things or new things come up.
All right. So again, folks, if you're just joining us, we saw a multiple engine static fire on ship 24 there. Shortly after the static fire, we had a more dynamic fire. It looks like some of the grass out there at Starbase did catch fire. Also, what seems to be black smoke coming from a dumpster inside the test area, potentially a piece of hot... There we go, on the right-hand side, lower right-hand side. I don't know. Somebody can please correct me if that's not a blue dumpster, but I recall that there were a couple dumpsters back in there, and now I need to go and look through the daily video to see if we took video of a blue dumpster. Sometimes if you watch the dailies and you're like, oh my gosh, why did they film a dumpster for 3 minutes? It's like, well... Here you go. You never know when it's going to be important. But that looks like it may have been combustible construction waste over in that area. Maybe if that is a dumpster, again, I am definitely hedging my bets because I don't have a super zoomed camera that says like the name of the dumpster company on the side of it or anything. But potentially a hot piece of debris flew into that area and caught something combustible on fire. And it's more than a ship length away, right? Over here, you can see from this angle, this is not the dumpster, but this is that fire in the grass area. And
yet also probably, I feel like some of the, like there might be a situation right now where it looks like it becomes bigger, but it's just getting closer to the camera. So
yeah, you can see
look...
the darker green like shrubberies in there. There's some lower brush as opposed to just the grass. And some of those things will actually burn a little bit taller, but with those grass fires, the grass fires don't last very long. It sort of sweeps through a grassy area and then goes out. But with the wind blowing it towards fresh grass, the fire is continuing to jump onto more and more new material to combust. Grass that's out there, and the grass goes up really big, and then it doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
But again, it is continuing to march away. You can see the direction of the wind here from this wider camera, and you can see that wind is blowing it towards fresh grass, like towards areas. But as you look here, there is a big water area and a big salt flat area between our cameras here and where that is, and our cameras in the majority of the refuge. I guess the biggest concern is the exact wind direction and which way that's going. If we have a strong wind that's blowing towards the north, or sort of, actually really towards the north, you could get that fire jumping across into a larger area of the refuge. And as long as the wind is going mostly west, or we would love like a wind coming to the southwest right now that would keep that down in that area. Of course, no wind or wind going directly south or wind blowing towards the east would be best here because it would turn the fire back onto grass that has already been burned, and it would go out pretty quickly there. But right now, that prevailing direction on the wind is blowing that fire onto new unburned grass, and it's going to keep going and flaring up like we see here.
And Adrian, I've got a question which you may be able to answer is, based on this depress, how long do you think until they'll be in position to either open the road fully or open the road at least for emergency vehicles?
Well, we've seen before that if they really are serious about detanking, about an hour. Like, we had static fire, let me go back. We had 20 minutes ago-ish. So, I think they need some more time. And I think there's also, at some point, there might be a concern that you're like, okay, is this an area right now where they're really confident there is no, like, methane vent or like a methane bubble that suddenly makes this even more dangerous. So yeah, I'm not sure if they just maybe at some point be like, okay, let's just wait this out, as long as it's on the contained side.
Yeah, and speaking of the contained side, we've brought up some satellite imagery here showing the area around, and you can see the test site there, right? Over on the right-hand side of the map, that's where that test site is. Starship is actually sort of on the left-hand side of the test area, but you can see how the entire test area is bounded by concrete, right? And that fire is in the grassy area, sort of dead middle in the screen right here. And you can see how Highway 4 forms sort of an east to west boundary. Highway 4, of course, is Boca Chica Boulevard, the road that's going across. And that fire is currently to the south of the road here, it looks like. And this is where the prevailing winds is going to be are going to be very important. Look at how if we have winds that are pushing to the west, a fire started near Ship 24 will spread into all of that vegetation. Of course, this isn't satellite imagery from today, but it shows the general lay of the land. You can see we do have, you see those reflecting shots, right? The awesome shots that Mary and Nick take, and it's the foreground with that really still water, and then the ship and the test site behind them. That's the green right along the road. So along the road, there is an area that has a pretty significant amount of water in it right now that serves as a buffer. There we go. That's exactly where that is. That's that reflecting pool where you get those awesome sunrise shots that Mary and Nick take. And so there is a good buffer there between Highway 4, but you can see all the grassy area sort of extending to the south and southwest away from the pad. But look down as well. Like if we scroll this map to the down to the southwest a little bit, you can see that we also hit the salt flats there, just south of the test area at Pad B. That is a big salt flat area. So difficult to jump into that salt flat there as well, missing the grassy vegetation that the fire is consuming. But we do have this big swath, and look how far this grassy area goes. It's backed off of Highway 4. You got the clear area most of the way along Highway 4 there. That's not all water, but that comes all the way back in that big swath, bounded on the south by the salt flats. Water in there usually. And then I say salt flats, I mean it's marshes. I know what the proper terminology is, but that right there, that's the potential path that the fire could take. And as long as they don't get this north wind that makes it hop north of Highway 4 into that larger area, right? if it keeps coming back towards the base, look at the choke point they have right there at Highway 4 at the Y. Even if that entire grassy area sets on fire, it's highly unlikely that this gets into the village, gets into the production site, because they can cut it off there at the pass where it comes to that choke point. And then they can probably access in a little bit there. You see how the grass is right along the road past the Y? They could most likely pass the checkpoint. The checkpoint is right there at the Y where the road turns into the village. And if they needed to get a big brush truck with some firefighting equipment, or a grass watering truck or something like that, here we go. If they need to get something in there and protect that area where the vegetation is thick right across Highway 4, cough, cough, you can also see a gravel area that has our cameras in it. They could probably access that without approaching the pad very closely and just choke that off there. So I'm not a firefighter, but I imagine what's going on here. They're always watching the winds when they get in situations like this. They're watching the available fuel to the fire, that fast-burning but not very long-lived grass, right? And if the wind continues to march that towards the production site and it's able to keep going, they may just let this burn all the way through that area, knowing that they have sort of a defensive point there that they could keep it from getting into the village and the rest of the areas. I think the biggest concern is, does the wind change, and does it hop north of Highway 4, or does it somehow get into the larger refuge area south of the test site? But there's an awfully big salt flat down there. I'm like monopolizing the conversation here, y'all, but I've done a lot of looking at the topography of Starbase in relative to our cameras and satellite views and stuff like that. So spent a lot of time out there looking around, and I have a feeling that's what's going on. You can see it continues to march over to the left a little bit, but just keep in mind these compressed camera views are very much, you don't know exactly, can it get to all that grass? I mean, look at the big salt area, the marsh area, the sandy area between the grass at the camera here and where that is. They have to be watching this right now, and mostly watching the winds.
Yeah, and the winds is right now, at least to some weather stations in the area, they are coming from northeast and going to southwest. So that would be good, because that's right now the direction that would push it closer to the water and not closer to Highway 4.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's not a very strong wind right now either. It's coming in. We've got a weather station. It's not an official weather report, but we're not getting like 20-mile-an-hour gusts or something like that right now. We're seeing gusts around 10, and the sustained wind at our site there just across Highway 4 is kicking around 6 miles per hour right now. So we're not looking at a super windy day out there with 20-mile-an-hour gusts that could really take a fire like this and spread it very quickly and make it more likely to hop across natural barriers like roads or salt flats or whatever. So again, folks, this is not the first time this has happened. This exact fire area has burned before. Back in the Starhopper days, a test around Starhopper actually lit this same area on fire, and it burned almost all the way back to where the checkpoint is, where the Y is. Here we can see we were seeing that higher fire, the larger fire over on the left-hand side. You can see that's sort of calmed down quite a bit, and it's looking smaller, and it also looks like it's running out of larger things to hit. It looks like it's lower grass over there, but you never know. I mean, a burning twig that gets caught by the wind and the heat rises and picks it up and carries it somewhere else. You got to watch for those embers and those other ignition sources to spread over the natural barriers that we've been talking about. And they do. They have fire assets out there. And, of course, Cameron County, Brownsville, they have fire assets as well, brush trucks and that sort of stuff. But I think that there's probably a conversation that's already happened where they look at the status of the vehicle, which just did a static fire, right? Still potentially loaded with some amount of methane, maybe difficult or dangerous for humans to actually go into that area. And you have to balance what the status of the vehicle and the status of the keep out zone is versus, is this fire contained? Is it blocked by natural boundaries? Or do we need to go in there with a truck and try to spray some water on it to keep it from doing whatever? Right?
Yeah, I feel like at this point, if there was like a significant danger of this becoming like a huge spreading wildfire, they could at least access some parts of Highway 4 probably. But
yeah, especially as it continues to approach the checkpoint and approach the Y, as it approaches the checkpoint, it gets further away from the vehicle and further away from the danger zone with the methane in the vehicle and tank farm and stuff. So I imagine that they have their eye in the sky and they are watching what's going on here. And the dumpster fire is a completely different thing. But the grass fire that's happening there. Go ahead.
The dumpster fire looks it looks spectacular and it produces like a lot of smoke. But the good thing is it is contained in a container, right? So
right.
It will burn probably and destroy the container, and you will have like a burned area there. But there's no real danger from that as well right now.
Yeah, and it's, what else is in there, right? Is this some cardboard that's burning, and then it got hot enough to catch some plastic and stuff like that? Like, what exactly was in that that dumpster or that container there?
Yeah, I mean, if there are exploding tanks in there, that would be bad, but let's hope that's not the case.
Yep. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, if you're wondering what's going on here, the plumes of black smoke that you see coming from the test area and the grass around suborbital pad B here, Starship Ship 24, or Starship Ship 24. What's the right way to say that, Adrian? Ship 24?
Sorry, yeah,
Starship Ship 24? Ship 24, okay.
Ship 24.
Ship 24. Ship 24 did a static fire with multiple engines, and shortly after that static fire, it looks like there was ignition of some grass in the area and some construction waste or something like that in a dumpster. So we're tracking sort of two different fires here. That black fire on the extreme right-hand side of your screen, that seems to be contained in what looks like a blue dumpster at the test site on concrete, very contained over there. And then the left side, the center and left, that browner smoke you see, that is actually grass and some small brush outside the SpaceX area. And you can see that the light winds, look at how much the smoke is going up and how it's not going straight sideways, right? The winds are not very strong right now. And it looks like they may even be calming down because some of that smoke looks like it's going almost straight up now. But for sure, SpaceX, Brownsville Fire Department are watching this situation. It is currently bounded by what could serve as natural fire breaks. The Highway 4 road to the north, the area that has water, sort of the salt flat area to the south. And the question is, does this get big enough to try and jump one of those natural areas? Does it burn itself out? Does the wind change and keep it more contained just because it's not being spread by the wind? But that's the situation out there at Starbase right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always the situation if you test with fire close to grass, there's always a chance that something like this can happen. Like, as long as you test in an area where not everything is concrete, you have the chance to ignite something. And so there's always, as long as it's contained, that's at least the good side of this. It would be way worse if this would be an uncontained wildfire that would just spread out into every area of the wildlife here, because that would that would have been not great.
Again, folks, I saw somebody asking about our close-in camera. It does look like the static fire maybe knocked a connection loose on the close-in camera. We still have telemetry from the uplink there at that position, and we're still getting audio from that position, but we are not getting a signal from that close-in camera. So that camera is actually on the other side of the reflecting pool. I am personally not too worried about that spot where our camera is placed, and we are just, it looks like the static fire shook a connection loose on that camera. We are not getting a video signal from the camera there.
I would just add in chat, people asking for replays. Actually, Jack is working on a video right now, which will include a full replay, which you'll be able to watch, and I'll pin it into chat as soon as we see it.
Yep, absolutely. Jack hopped off commentary as soon as it happened so that he could get those replay cuts in slow motion and all the sorts of things.
Hi,
but
I'm not here. Bye.
Oh, Jack's not here. Okay, bye, Jack.
It's almost done.
Okay, cool. We'll stand by for your replay video here, Jack. Then we'll link it to everybody in chat so everybody can do their own replays. But as this situation is continuing to develop, we are keeping an eye on the grass fire that was seemingly started by the Ship 24 static fire here just a short while ago.
Also, another side of the when can they return to pad is also the booster. because even if they save the ship fast, look at the state of the booster right now. That does not look like... Yeah, it does not look like that's a safe situation right now, maybe. So
well, what would normally be coming out of there, Adrian? Like, it's very low to the ground, but what is that coming out of those vents?
That's probably, like, I would assume it's either nitrogen or LOX. That's the two proper, like, I would assume by the length of it going, I would almost assume nitrogen, because I cannot imagine them using that much LOX of their tanks to vent it out. But that's just my assumption, because it goes sometimes for like an hour, and that would be weird since they need that LOX for their infrastructure, right?
Right, makes sense. You almost wonder. This is here. Put on your rampant speculation hat.
Oh.
You almost wonder if venting from the orbital launch mount like that, if you were to vent something like liquid nitrogen, right, could you use that to help keep the fire from going in that direction? And it really, from this angle, it doesn't look like that would be going in the right direction, right? But could you put out a grass fire by venting a copious amount of liquid nitrogen out of the OLM like that if the wind was in your favor and it took that big plume over the area that has the fire? Clearly not the case that's happening here. You can see that's actually going out into those salt flat area. I call them salt flats. I mean, they're big areas. They're flat and they're salty. I haven't licked them, but they're at the beach. So there you can sort of see exactly where that plume is going. But that was the rampant speculation hat there. Could you use that as fire suppression? I mean, look at how it blankets the ground over there, right?
I don't know if you could use that, but oxygen deprivation is definitely a viable firefighting method. Just think of like on a battleship or something, what they displace the oxygen with halon or what have you. Like, totally a thing. I don't know if you can do that with nitrogen at the launch site, but anyways, bye.
Hi, Jack.
Also,
go at it.
Also, that kind of makes me confident that that is not LOX. Because I feel like they wouldn't dump a ridiculously high amount of LOX right now.
Right.
Geralt!
Powiedz mi, jak w ogóle poznałaś Jaskra?
Na turnieju poetyckim Welander. Oczywiście już wcześniej sporo słyszałam o mistrzu Jaskrze. I rzeczywiście w pierwszej chwili wydał mi się nadętym, narcystycznym bufonem.
Tylko w pierwszej chwili?
Cóż, zmieniłam zdanie, kiedy podszedł mi pogratulować. Nie spodziewałam się, że z takim wdziękiem przyjmie przegraną. Jaskier bywa irytujący, ale są chwile, kiedy przekonuje się, że potrafi być sprawiedliwy i szlachetny. No, gdyby nie to, chyba bym z nim nie wytrzymała.
A, rozumiem. Do zobaczenia.
No proszę, kolejny dziwotwór. Bogowie, kostucha po mnie.
Porządek musi być.
Szarpałaś warkocze.
Ale nie żebyś szarpała.
Bez szarpania nie ma warkoczy.
To ja już nie chcę. Wiedźmin, Wiedźmin! Corin, zobacz, kto przyszedł.
Witaj. Nie wiedziałem, że mieszkacie tu razem.
Kiedy mi powiedziałeś, że to Sara była odpowiedzialna za moje koszmary, postanowiłam sprawdzić, czy diabeł rzeczywiście jest taki straszny, jak go malują. Przyszłam tu, ale zamiast diabła spotkałam Sarę i... nie wiem, jakoś od razu przypadłyśmy sobie do gustu.
Dawno temu ludzie zaczęli wznosić miasta, żeby odgrodzić się od świata pełnego potworów. Nigdy nie wyzwolili się od strachu przed stworzeniami, które mogą się ukrywać wewnątrz kamiennych murów. Ale w rzeczywistości to nie mury zapewniają bezpieczeństwo. Dom wcale nie oznacza miejsca, w którym można zamknąć się na klucz. Żeby znaleźć prawdziwy dom, czasem trzeba przejść długą drogę.
Przestraszyłeś się?
Tak?
Tak pięknego okolicznościach przyrody.
Jest tam kto? Otwórzcie!
Po co ten rwetes? Łaźnia jest zamknięta.
Muszę się spotkać z właścicielem. Wiem, że tu przebywa.
Cóż z tego, skoro jest zajęty?
Zajęty czym?
Podejmuje ważnych gości.
W takim razie powiedz mu, że przyszedł jeszcze jeden ważny gość. Geralt z Rivi. Nie odejdę stąd, dopóki z nim nie porozmawiam.
No dobrze, spróbuję. Proszę zaczekać.
Ziggy Royven zaprasza. Ja nazywam się Hapen. Spotkanie odbywa się w łaźni. Wpierw jednak przejdziemy przez szatnię, gdzie należy zostawić odzienie.
Chodźmy.
Tutaj można się rozebrać. Ekwipunek będzie bezpieczny. Znakomicie. Ziggy Royven oczekuje w następnej sali.
Hej, białowłosy!
Piękne
ciało!
Miałaś rację. Nie rumieni się.
Junior wyciął mu rękę i kazał wrazić mu ją w zadek. Odesłał ciało z ręką wyciągniętą na zgodę.
Tasak największego? Nie widziałaś Roywena. Gudrun nazywa go Uroborosem.
Pięknie.
A ty co, mój fumfel? Junior dostał zaproszenie i nie przyszedł. Pokaż Pokażę wam, gdzie nas ma!
Ciacho!
Jak się masz? Pięknie. Dowcipniś. Bądź zdrów. Bądź zdrów.
Witaj, złociutki!
Zagapienie też się płaci.
Au! Wilku! Witaj, złociutki!
Teraz mam przerwę.
Smocze, nie znajdziesz lepszej.
Teraz mam przerwę.
Cześć. Pięknie.
Spokojnie, Tasak.
Skurwiel junior idzie do piachu. Mój sekretarz wyśle wam notatkę ze spotkania.
Nie masz sekretarza. A juniora zlikwidujemy, gdy wszyscy, rozumiesz? Wszyscy będą za. Royven, twój gość. Po chuj go tu wpuściłeś.
Bo chciałem z nim porozmawiać. To Geralt z Rivii.
Dobrze cię znowu widzieć.
Jak zwykle, kurwa, jestem wykluczony, towarzysko. Coś ty za jeden.
Niech nasz gospodarz o mnie opowie. To Wiedźmin. Ten sam, który najpierw powstrzymał zamach na Foltesta, a potem go zabił.
Rzekomo. Nie zabiłem ani Foltesta, ani Demawenda. Witaj, Dijkstra, Royven, czy jak się teraz każesz nazywać?
Podczas naszego ostatniego spotkania Geralt pobił mnie i złamał nogę. Jestem ciekaw, z czym teraz przychodzi.
Ktoś wszedł do łaźni. Skradają się. Jest ich kilku.
Co on pierdoli, jasnowic jakiś?
Mordercy! Proszę, nie!
Noż kurwa mać, wiedziałem!
Znajdzie się broń?
Znajdzie.
Z gołą dupą jeszcze się nie biłem. Trzymajcie się w kupie! Nogi rzuca! Teraz z lewa zachodź! Nie! Zostawcie go mnie! On żaden nie ucieknie! Dobra robota, panowie.
Przepraszam za ten incydent. Ochrona zawiodła ich. Ciągnę z tego konsekwencje.
To byli ludzie z Kurwiela. Wyciągnij z tego konsekwencje.
Nie zaczynajmy od początku, szczególnie przy gościu.
Przyszedł na moment przed atakiem. Przypadek? Nie sądzę.
Jak sam się wytłumaczy. Nie przedstawisz mi swoich znajomych? Dobrze, że nie ma tu Harmena. Zaraz bym mnie zrugał za brak manier. Króla żebraków znasz. Zresztą, kto nie słyszał o tym mecenasie sztuki i patronie drobnych przedsiębiorców? A krasnoluda zwą Tasakiem. Siedzi głównie w rozrywce. Szukam Skurwiela juniora.
A, ciekawe. Czego chcesz od Wileja?
Junior pomoże mi kogoś znaleźć.
W całym swoim nędznym życiu Skurwiel jeszcze nikomu nie pomógł.
Będę go ładnie prosił. Słyszysz, Tasak? Może gdybyś nie nazwał go ciotko Jepsą, tylko ładnie prosił, to może przyszedłby na spotkanie.
Kurwa, panowie, na krotochwilę was wzięło. Skurwiel chce nas sprzątnąć i w końcu mu się uda. Musimy zabić go pierwsi. Siedźcie tu i puszczajcie bąki pod wodą. Ja idę wysłać chłopaków do miejscówek juniora. Niech zrobią kipisz i wykurzą chuja. A ty, jak ci tam, jeśli chcesz znaleźć Skurwiela, przyjdź do mnie.
Jakieś pomysły, gdzie odszukam juniora? Będę wdzięczny za każdą wskazówkę.
Ziggy?
Warto mu powiedzieć. Geralt ma talent do znajdowania ludzi i jest dyskretny.
W takim razie zostawiam was.
Zajrzę do ciebie jutro. Dokończymy rozmowę. To co, może się ubierzemy? Niezły pomysł, a potem pogadamy już w 4 oczy. To się porobiło, ale dobrze spotkać starego drucha, dzięki któremu tak często zażywam kąpieli. Jeśli dzięki mnie jesteś czystszy, to warto ci było złamać tę nogę. Wyobraź sobie, że kiepsko się zrosła. Muszę ją moczyć w gorącej wodzie przynajmniej 6 razy dziennie, bo inaczej napierdala jak dzwony w bokle. Nie zrobiłem tego bez powodu. Jakbyś mi nie wchodził w drogę, nogę miałbyś całą. Rozumiem. Zaręczam, że gdybym mógł się cofnąć w czasie, zachowałbym się na Taned inaczej. Na przykład kazałbym cię moim ludziom zabić, a nie związać. Słuchaj, Royven, a właściwie Dijkstra, bo nie jestem w nastroju na zabawę w pseudonimy i inne szpiegowskie gierki. Przychodzę w konkretnej sprawie. Jak chcesz wysłuchać, o co chodzi, to wysłuchaj. Jak nie, to daruj sobie błyskotliwe riposty i po prostu wywal mnie za drzwi. A co mi szkodzi? Mów! Myślisz, że Tasak znajdzie Skurwiela? Może i znajdzie, ale spali przy tym pół miasta, zupełnie niepotrzebny. Zostaw go i działaj sam. Co proponujesz? Trzeba przejść się po miejscach w strefie wpływów juniora i się rozejrzeć. Tyle, że dyskretnie, a nie wpadać na pełnej kurwie z ogniem i mieczem. Dlaczego ty i Bedlam nie chcecie wojny z juniorem? Zawsze powtarzałem królowi Wizimirowi, że wojna nie rozwiązuje żadnych problemów. Ona rodzi problemy, które trzeba potem rozwiązywać innymi środkami. Za poczynaniami skurwiela ktoś stoi. Nie chcę zabijać juniora, dopóki nie dowiem się, kto to jest.
A wspólnicy znają twoją przeszłość? Wiedzą, że naprawdę nazywasz się Sigismund Dijkstra i byłeś szefem redańskiego wywiadu?
Gdybym razem z Tasakiem, Bedlamem i juniorem zbudował młyn i miał mąkę dla okolicznych chłopów, to bylibyśmy wspólnikami. Bo to, że musimy się często dogadywać, nie czyni z nas partnerów. A czy wiedzą, kim byłem? Bedlam na pewno, a pozostali chyba się domyślają. Po prostu nie rozmawiamy o tym.
Może faktycznie warto popytać na mieście. Nawet jeśli junior siedzi w ukryciu, to nie mógł odciąć się od dochodów.
Skurwiel czerpie zyski głównie z hazardu. Kontroluje największe kasyno w mieście. Pamiętam, jak hierarcha Hemmelfart przegrał tam kiedyś swój pierścień z Rubinem i wybuchła awantura. Jest też arena w podziemiach pod miastem. Dochód z zakładów jest niewiele mniejszy niż z kasyna. Tam zawsze szukają ochroniarzy. Możesz też sprawdzić dom Skurwiela w Nowigradzie, ale wątpię, żebyś go tam zastał.
Gdzie znajduje się kasyno?
Niedaleko, wiesz, Straży Miejskiej. Oficjalnie Skurwiel nie ma żadnych związków z kasynem, więc uważaj, co mówisz, żeby nie wzbudzić podejrzeń.
To gdzie jest ta arena?
W kanałach pod Złotą Dzielnicą, ale wejście jest w kwartale Biedoty, na okrawkach. Junior uwielbia dobre walki. Pewnie chciałby zobaczyć na własne oczy Wiedźmina w akcji.
Wspomniałeś, że Skurwiel ma dom w mieście.
To całkiem zacna posiadłość, tuż za mostem wiodącym na Wyspę Świątynną. Ale junior jest za sprytny, żeby tam siedzieć.
Spróbuję znaleźć juniora w kasynie albo na arenie i chyba pogadam też z Tasakiem.
Rób jak chcesz, tylko bądź ostrożny. Skurwiel na pewno spodziewa się kontrataku.
Dzięki za pomoc, Dijkstra.
Idź już, Wiedźminie. Aha, gdybyś miał problemy ze znalezieniem Skurwiela, wróć do mnie. Znam te kanalie i może coś wymyślę.
Pora na mnie.
Ja mam co robić. Bywaj.
Masz chwilę?
Mam.
Not a great idea to increase the oxygen level in the environment around an area where there's a fire burning. We saw that before where we had, what was that, welding equipment or some of the tools over there.
We're watching a have me singing. We'll copyright strike the channel, won't we? David Bell, lock S24 into attack position. I believe that was before. Dean Halbold asks, why do raptors honk? Adrian?
Good question. I think we never got an answer what exactly is. It sounds like a part coming to an abrupt stop. That's at least to my very limited insight into this. Also, just to point that out, you can see wildlife fire departments here getting ready to
You've got
enter the pad as soon as it can.
the big fire truck there in the back, and you got one of those brush trucks in the front, the off-road vehicle that's designed to see right there. They just uncovered it with the sheriff's vehicle moving, but they do have a brush truck there that's literally designed to fight fires in areas like this. But I imagine they're at standoff range right now watching what the drone is. If one of those people in that huddle doesn't have a drone screen up, I would be very surprised right now. But they're probably watching that, watching the wind, and seeing what the best move is here. Is it contained? Do they need to go in? Right now, it looks like they're in a pretty good position with those natural boundaries, Highway 4 and the salt low grass area, the flat sandy areas, keeping that fire sort of bounded. I'm not going to say contained yet because it could spread within the boundaries, but the boundaries are understood. So, Chris, let's grab a couple more super chats. We're here. We were just clicking in on the roadblock to talk about the fire trucks real quick.
Absolutely, yeah. Jim Cavett, who's done many gift memberships in the stream. I've just noticed that. It's been mentioned before, but I'll mention again because there's one which was outstanding, which was not mentioned. So thank you, Jim. Also, thank you to Elizabeth for your support. But from test with engine or stash on your stream, where they were looking at third. That's a rollback. There's no two questions about it. They said they will roll back if they fire up in a boat to replace the engines. So there's a long way to go before this thing launches.
It
is
put like the fire coming out and say static fire, like label Starship static fire, and then have the dumpster next to it and have like smoke coming out of the dumpster and be like dynamic fire or something like that.
This is hot stuff. Is now question. Officer
At the pad, right?
That
as well, because we just saw
well, that
just need to get mentioned earlier. Look,
and
the big off-road reaching y'all. Look over to the right-hand side there. Right for.
Yeah, it does.
They are out there. There's no houses right nearby. It's not like it's approaching. I went to find a little spots, but they are watching it, and they have not, I guess, felt the need.
Is a significant water stream because we can see it below the ship on camera. So it's probably not even that small, but it only protects the immediate, like the very close pad area with water. And after that it doesn't protect the grass.
Yeah. And again, y'all, what exactly happened? Was it like a piece of something like FOD that was underneath
Słuchaj, wiesz może co się stało z Jaskrem?
To samo, co ze wszystkimi, którzy nadepną juniorowi na odcisk.
To znaczy?
Siedzi otoczony churysami, które karmią go pasztecikami ze słowiczych języków i poją młodym winem. No, Geralt, co się mogło z nim stać? Leży pewnie na dnie Pontaru razem z tą swoją mandoliną.
Lutnią.
Jak dla mnie, no, może sobie tam gnić i z waltornią w dupie.
Ty nie masz przypadkiem z Jaskrem na pieńku?
Oczywiście, że ma.
O co poszło?
Widzisz, Jaskier wydał ostatnio sonet, gdzie w drugim tetrastychu są rymy parzyste zamiast okalające. Wyobrażasz sobie? Sam rozumiesz, że jako konesera poezji głęboko mnie to oburza. Nie daruję mu.
Pytałem poważnie.
Poważnie to brak mi czasu, żeby przejmować się twoim kumplem Żigolakiem. Mam własne problemy. A ty mógłbyś mi pomóc. A wtedy ja mógłbym na przykład popytać o Jaskra. Ustalić, co dokładnie się z nim stało.
Rozumiem, że poza tym mi jeszcze zapłacisz.
Nic, za darmo, co? Ciekawe, czy byłeś taki wyszczekany, jak cię Emhyr najmował.
Kto ci to powiedział?
Jak to? Emhyr. Nie zdradzę ci przecież imion moich informatorów. To by było kurewsko nieprofesjonalne. No ale dość, ploteczek. Tak, zapłacę ci, zapłacę. To jak? Mogę na ciebie liczyć?
Może ci pomogę. O co chodzi?
Zamiast mówić, wolę pokazać. Obraz jest wart 1000 słów i tak dalej. No i zdajesz sobie sprawę, że jeśli wygadasz, co tu zobaczysz, zarobisz kosę pod żebro.
Tak zakładałem.
Świetnie. Ostatnia prośba, a właściwie polecenie. Nie wyciągaj miecza z pochwy, o ile nie poproszę. Proszę za mną. Bart, znowu?
Bart?
Bart, przestań w tej chwili.
Ja zły. Przeze mnie Ziggy nie ma Torwuna.
Nie głową w mur tego nie zmieni.
Jak ja boli, ja mniej myśli. Jak mniej myśli, ja mniej smutny. A ja teraz bardzo smutny.
Skąd wytrzasnąłeś tego trolla?
Z Zerikani. Wygrałem go w karty od handlarza wielbłądami.
Co, żarcik to lepszy.
Widzisz, żebym się uśmiechał? Jestem śmiertelnie poważny.
Bart pilnował garbate konie. Tam gorąco i piasek dużo. Ale Ziggy mnie zabrał, bo Ziggy dobry.
Widzę, że się dogadujesz z trollem, więc po co mnie tu przyprowadziłeś?
Zwróć uwagę na tę dziurę. Jeszcze do niej wrócimy. A za tymi drzwiami jest skarbiec, do niedawna pełen nowigradzkich koron i innych precjozów.
Ja pilnował, ale było ma bum i nie ma Torwuna.
W przekładzie na nasze ktoś mi zapieprzył blisko 20 ton złota, nie licząc drobnych. A ty pomożesz mi je odzyskać.
Czemu sam się tym nie zajmiesz? Masz układy w półświadku, po co ci jeszcze Wiedźmin?
Widzisz, te pieniądze nie należały wyłącznie do mnie. Można powiedzieć, że prowadzę taki bank dla wtajemniczonych. Z oczywistych względów nie chcę, żeby wieści o moich tymczasowych problemach z płynnością się rozeszły. Dlatego właśnie potrzebuję pomocy kogoś z zewnątrz.
Skąd pewność, że możesz mi zaufać?
Nie mam takiej pewności. Liczę na twój instynkt samozachowawczy. Bo jeśli skrewisz, zabiję cię i dam na pożarcie Bartowi.
Bart, bardzo przykro. Taka praca.
Zgoda, pomogę ci.
Jakoś nie tryskasz entuzjazmem.
To przez wiedźmińskie mutacje wypierają nas z emocji. Inaczej skakałbym ze szczęścia. Muszę się tu rozejrzeć, ale przede wszystkim mam pytania.
Zamieniam się w słuch.
Ktoś widział, co tu się stało?
Poza Bartem? Nie. O tym skarbcu wiedzieli tylko depozytariusze. No i złodzieje.
A czy w dniu ataku działo się coś podejrzanego na górze? W samych łaźniach?
Hapen zarzekał się, że było spokojnie. Stali bywalcy, mały ruch, żadnych ekscesów. Cholerna sielanka.
Jaka była wartość tego wszystkiego, tak mniej więcej?
A co? Chcesz wyliczyć, jakie dostaniesz znaleźne? Nie rób sobie nadziei.
Za dobrze cię znam. Po prostu wolę wiedzieć, czego szukam.
3 skrzynie nilfgardzkich florenów, kufer szmaragdów, rubinów i topazów, srebrne lichtarze i półmiski. Długo by wyliczać.
Cała Torfuna. Wszystko przez Barta.
Rozumiem, że złodzieje weszli przez tę dziurę za twoimi plecami.
No, bystry jesteś. Gratuluję, kurwa, domyślności. O co jeszcze spytasz? Który mamy rok? Jak się nazywa król Redanii?
Nie, ale zastanawia mnie na przykład, skąd ta dziura się tu wzięła.
Jej tu nie było. A potem bum! I była. Ja chciał zobaczyć. Ale nie zobaczyć, tylko spać. Bo złe grzyby. Złe w Barta głowa.
Bum? Możesz to rozwinąć?
Bum! Takie duże. Bach, trach, łubudu i bęc.
Pozwól, że ja rozwinę. Ach. Wybuch rozpierdolił ścianę dzielącą kanały od skarbca.
Widzę, że całkiem nieźle dogadujesz się z tym trollem.
Całe życie pracuję z idiotami. Mam wprawę.
Jakie znowu złe grzyby?
Pleśń popsa. Jej zarodniki są tak trujące, że parę wdechów i po tobie. No, chyba że jesteś trolem.
Chyba jestem. Jestem? Ziggy.
Nie mówię do ciebie, baranie. O czym to? A, pleśń. No, pełno jej w kanałach za skarbcem. Myślałem, że to dobrze, wiesz. Dodatkowe zabezpieczenie, ale złodzieje jakoś to obeszli.
Widziałeś ich, Bart?
Jak ja wyjść przez dziura zobaczyć, co było bum, to oddychał grzyb i zasnął. A jak już nie snął, nie ma wcale Torfuta. A ja zły troll. Bardzo zły troll.
Już, nie rozklejaj się.
Próbowałeś pójść tropem złodziei?
Oczywiście. Wziąłem jednego osiłka, Fonsa, na tyle tępego, żeby nie zadawał pytań. Łyknęliśmy po antidotum na popsa i weszliśmy do kanałów. A chwilę potem wróciłem sam.
Co się stało?
Chłopak zaczął strasznie bekać. Ale tak, że aż echo szło. Mówię, Fons, przestań. Jesteś w towarzystwie hrabiego, byłego wprawdzie, ale zawsze. No i wtedy się pożygał. Antidotum przestało działać. Próbowałem go wyciągnąć, ale usłyszałem takie jakby bulgotanie i coś wylazło z wody. Cenię życie moich ludzi, ale swoje bardziej, więc rzuciłem fosa w cholerę i pobiegłem do wyjścia.
Mógłbyś opisać to coś, które wyszło z wody?
Nie, nic z tego. W kanałach jest gęsto od zarodników. Mało co tam widać.
Coś na pewno zauważyłeś. Na przykład, czy...
Nie zauważyłem. Wybacz, że nie przeprowadziłem wstępnej analizy taksonomicznej dla twojej wygody, ale spieprzałem co sił w nogach.
No, pora rozejrzeć się po kanałach. Masz jeszcze to antidotum na popsa?
Tak, zostało mi parę fiolek. Mam też recepturę. Obrzydliwa lura, szczerze mówiąc, ale ratuje życie. Proszę.
Dzięki.
Nie ma za co, dosłownie. Przecież jakbyś się tu udusił, nie miałbym z ciebie już żadnego pożytku. Słuchaj, idę na górę, bo jak patrzę na ten pusty skarbiec, to szlak nie trafia. No, powodzenia. Biały wilku, biały wilku, biały wilku.
Jaskier, co ty się wpakowałem? Możemy zamienić parę słów?
Zamienić? A na co? Słowa nie warte nic. Nawet Bart wie.
W sensie porozmawiać.
W sensie? Gdzie to?
Jeszcze raz. Możemy porozmawiać?
Ciebie Ziggy lubi. Możemy.
Czy przed kradzieżą działo się coś podejrzanego?
Podejrzej... Co? Bart nie rozumieć.
Coś innego niż zwykle. Mogłeś to zobaczyć, poczuć, usłyszeć.
Tak. Ja słyszał takie... Aż łaskotało Barta w uchy.
Jakie to było syczenie? Jak u węża?
Nie, inny syk. Nie jak zwierz wcale.
Tylko jak co?
Jak, kamień?
Syczący kamień. Skąd dochodziło to syczenie?
Bart słyszał syk w Landrynie.
Słucham?
No, tam gdzie Bart robi kupę.
Dobra, pogadajmy o czymś innym.
Zgoda. Nie ma torfuny. To Bart ma dużo czasu. Bo Bart już nie ma czego pilnować.
Czemu tak lubisz Ziggiego?
Ziggy dobry. Ziggy dba.
I zamknął cię samego pod ziemią. Nie nudzi ci się? Nie bardzo masz co tu robić.
Bart jak nie ma co robić, myśli. O tak, bardzo myśli, aż boli.
A na jaki temat, jeśli można spytać?
Kamienie.
Kamienie?
Kamienie ciekawe.
Dzięki za pomoc. Bywaj.
Bywam. A może nie bywam? Oto być pytanie.
Końcówki rury są wywinięte na zewnątrz. Coś rozwaliło ją od środka i kawał ściany przy okazji. Wygląda na to, że odpływy z wszystkich basenów zbiegają się w tym miejscu.